Next, we have senior Alex Hoffman. He's a major in music and community health, and he's also in our 5-year Masters of Public Health program. Alex has an infectious passion for education and also a belief in the power of empowerment. I think you're going to really find this incredible. If we could just take a second, think back to the experiences in your high school education. The things that meant the most to you, maybe some things that you would have had differently. And maybe, just because Alex just got into the classroom and just because it's been a long time for some of us, or at least a couple of years since we've been in our own high school classrooms, we're going to have it laid out tonight. Some ideas for how to get the most out of our high school education. Alex, take us to school.
Thank you, Ben. Good intro. In 1968, an innovative, a creative, and a visionary educator named Jane Elliott decided to make her classroom, her 3rd grade classroom, look like a microcosm of society. She did this by introducing discrimination into her classroom. I know this sounds cruel to do this to 3rd graders, but the class learned a lot from this experiment, and society at large as well learned a lot from this experiment. She began by teaching the students a fake scientific lesson about why students with blue eyes are genetically superior to those with brown eyes. She then implemented discriminatory policies into the classroom. The brown-eyed students were forced to sit in the back of the class, and the blue-eyed students got extra privileges, like larger portions at lunch and longer recesses. The result of this experiment was striking and immediate. The blue-eyed students saw their grades go up and their abilities increase, while the brown-eyed students saw their grades decline and their abilities decline in the classroom as well. There are many ways to understand this experiment, and there are many applications for this experiment in the realm of social science. But I'm interested in the concept of self-efficacy, a person's perceived abilities. By treating the blue-eyed students as the superiors, by giving them extra privileges, she raised their self-efficacy. Their grades went up and their abilities went up in the classroom. By treating the brown-eyed students as the inferior, by discriminating against them, she decreased their self-efficacy and their classroom production and grades went down. Based on this idea, it seems clear that educational success is directly linked to level of self-efficacy. So I decided to try to get involved with education, and keeping in character of a Tufts student, I decided to do civic education. I joined up with an organization called Generation Citizen, which is an organization that implements civic education programs in Boston, Providence, and New York in high schools and middle schools. And in January of this semester, I began teaching civics at Cambridge Ringe and Latin High School to juniors and seniors. On my first day in the classroom, the first thing that I did with my students, we played a game called Four Corners, a kind of an icebreaker type activity. The way this game works is that there are 4 ratings on each corner of the classroom. There's agree, there's strongly disagree, there's strongly agree, there's strongly disagree, and there's disagree. Then I say a statement. I think Justin Bieber is a great musician, for example. So then the students go to the corner of the room that they think best exemplifies that statement. And we do a little discussing. So we did some easy examples, like the Justin Bieber one. And then we got into more controversial issues. I support same-sex marriage. And when I said this, most of the students went to the agree or strongly agree section of the class, and a couple remained in the center of the classroom claiming that they were neutral. One student went to the strongly disagree section of the classroom. So we asked the students in the agree, a couple of the students in the agree and strongly disagree sections to state their cases. And then we asked the one student in the strongly disagree section to state his case. Well, he said, I just find it disgusting. Now, when he said that, everybody in the class sort of went silent for a minute. As the teacher, I didn't really know what to do at that point. It was kind of shocking for everybody. And one of the students in the class that identifies as bisexual stormed out of the classroom, really upset about what just happened. And then at that point, just, I guess, chaos sort of ensued. And we decided, chairs flying through the windows, fire, no. So we decided to end the class there, and we decided to reconvene and try to talk about, what just went down, what we can do about it. And we tracked down the student that left the room, and we convinced him to come back and join the discussion. And we asked the students, Who was at fault here? Was it the student that made the hurtful remark? Or was it the student that stormed out of the classroom, leaving no room for discussion? This brought up a lot of larger issues in society. It brought up our national political debate. How do we argue effectively, and how do we disagree respectfully? The students argued really nicely and made a lot of great connections, and were able to critically think about the world. And it was a really great teaching moment, and it was a really successful class. And since that class, most of the classes that I've gone in for have not been nearly as successful, which has led me to reflect on this first class a lot and ask myself, what led to its success? Why was it so great? I believe that there's a few things at stake here. First of all, the students were all involved in the issue. They saw it begin and they saw it end. They all had a stake in the issue. They had the ability to understand the problem and understand the resolution of the problem. This all led to a high level of self-efficacy in the classroom. But as I mentioned, not all of the classes that I've gone to at Cambridge, Ringe, and Ladin have been as successful. As approaching my third month of teaching, it seems that a lot of the students are beginning to resemble the brown-eyed students of Jane Elliott's classroom. They're in their 11th or 12th year of school, and I totally understand their feeling, their low level of self-confidence, their low level of efficacy. The vice president and the president of the student council are in my high school class, and they constantly complain how the school does not give them the ability to make real impactful decisions when it comes to their education. They feel like they're just formalities so that the teacher's administration can claim that students have power and a voice, but they don't believe it. They're not convinced. Just to make this more clear, I want to share with you a story that really demonstrates this point. A few weeks ago, they had a guest speaker come into the classroom to talk to them about privilege. He set up chairs in the center of the classroom, but not enough chairs for everybody to have a seat. Then he gave the students a certain criteria for sitting in these chairs and showed them at the end of the lesson that just as in this class, not everybody was going to get a seat, so as in broader society, not everybody is going to experience privilege. We have problems with our society. We have inequalities. He was trying to teach them all these issues. And after this class, one of the students in my class said that he was worried that he was not going to get a chair in the future. Now, this student is incredibly nice. He's one of the nicest kids in the class. He's really friendly and he's a really considerate member of the class, but he does not succeed in the classroom doing work. He rarely ever does his homework. He doesn't participate that much in class. And after he said that he's worried that he's not going to get a chair in the future, it sort of all made sense to me. His low level of self-efficacy was preventing him from achieving the maximum capacity of education in the classroom. I've realized that it's really hard to build self-efficacy when most of the students in my class have never had the opportunity to meaningfully impact society. But I have not lost hope. We just have to ask the right questions and think innovatively about the issue. How can we make this classroom environment more like the environment of the icebreaker on my first day teaching? How can we make sure that no kids in the class feel like the brown-eyed kids in Jane Elliott's class? And how can we make sure that all students get a chair in the future? In order to build self-efficacy among high school students, we need to shift away from the model of hypothetical tests, hypothetical papers, and hypothetical projects. We need to move towards real-life projects that involve the students in society. Generation Citizen is a great model for this shift. The organization allows students to make a meaningful impact on society. The way their curriculum works is that students decide together on an issue that they work on, and then they take action, doing all the important steps of action on the issue, such as they research, they raise awareness, they mobilize stakeholders, they meet with decision makers, and they write op-eds in the local newspapers. This allows the students to see the outcome of their work. It allows them to see what worked and what didn't work. It allows them to learn from their failures. It gives them the opportunity to learn how to recognize and act on societal problems. All of these opportunities strengthen their perceived abilities when it comes to making a meaningful impact on society. Generation Citizen is a great model for raising self-efficacy among high school students in the realm of civic education. In order to build self-efficacy in other realms of education, we must apply these strategies of meaningful action-based curricula. Thank you very much.